Good to be with you.
I wanted to start on the prospect for stimulus in the short term. There's been more talk of it again, rumours or just positive tones. But should we expect anything to get over the line, in your view, before the end of this calendar year?
I think it's probably unlikely. It should happen. I mean, basically what's been happening in the economy is that when the pandemic hit, we put so much money into people's pockets through the CARES Act that savings rates went up and credit card debt went down. We are now burning through that cushion remarkably quickly. And it is a self-inflicted wound to not be filling the gap to bridge to what we now can expect to be a brighter 2021 because of the advances in science. This is completely self-imposed and unnecessary.
Can that be rectified early in the new year by the Biden administration, or will permanent damage be done? I mean, it's not like we're months away from that moment now.
Yeah, it's still awkward. I think to go 2 or 3 months with nothing, and then let's just be clear, even in January, probably wind up with something that's not adequate or too small is not a great combination. So if we could get something now, great. If we could get something now that was in place as long as the unemployment rate remained elevated, even better. Waiting till January is unfortunate. I think it's probably the most likely scenario. And we're, again, just making a difficult situation worse for no reason.
What do you forecast, Peter, is happening to the economy right now with these rising case numbers, hospitalizations, and restrictions? We talked about New York City schools closing tomorrow. Minnesota's governor is going to close restaurants, bars, and gyms starting on Friday for a month. And this is likely to have an impact.
It will have an impact. I think we're better able to handle it than we were during the first wave, just because people are more used to what needs to happen. We know that masks really matter. Nonetheless, there is economic damage that comes, I'd say, especially for small and medium-sized businesses. And while per the earlier discussion, they may not add up to a ton, a large share of the stock market, they matter for a lot of families and they matter for the overall economy.
So we're talking a lot about short term and then sort of medium term once we get over the vaccine hump. What's it meant for M&A activity at Lazard? And are people's confidence and state of minds changing now that we're starting to get this really effective vaccine data?
Well, we've seen a pickup in M&A activity starting, only a few months after the pandemic hit. And that's because it's being driven by technological change, returns to scale, the benefits of being larger, combined with very attractive financing conditions. And actually, one of the effects of not getting adequate fiscal stimulus is the Fed is likely going to be put in the box of having to remain quite expansionary for a substantial period of time. So the attractive financing conditions are likely to continue. The technological change is continuing, and discussions remain very active.
Over the next 4 years, Peter, what taxes will go up under President-elect Biden, and what taxes should go up in your view?
The latter question is a lot easier to answer. I think what taxes will go up is very challenging to answer before we know the results of Georgia, and even with 2 Democratic senators from Georgia, which I don't think is necessarily the most likely outcome. I don't think you're going to see big changes in tax policy. It's going to be too hard to get agreement through the Senate for any substantial changes. What do I think should happen? I've long believed that the overall level of revenue in the United States is just too low, and there are lots of ways of addressing that, both through pricing carbon and through more progressive taxation, but it's a academic discussion at this point.
I assume a lot of your old friends from the Obama administration, Peter, are going to be in the new Biden administration. Would you go back?
No, I'm not. It's an interesting experience for me to see. I'm staying in New York. It's an interesting experience to be on the outside looking in, and I think that President-elect Biden is going to assemble a fantastic team.
Is it going to be quite a centrist team, do you think, Peter? I mean, there was talk at times in the last 12 months of names like Elizabeth Warren as Treasury Secretary, which seems highly unlikely now. But do you think there'll be progressives of that ilk in powerful economic positions?
I'm sure that the Biden team will put together a team that looks, across different parts of the Democratic Party, and maybe even to parts of the Republican Party. But I would note that the lack of a blue wave in the Senate constrains many of the choices in terms of Senate confirmation. I don't think that the candidates who are going to make it through the Senate confirmation process are on the far progressive side of the Democratic Party. So the lack of a blue wave in the Senate probably produces a more centrist team. But I think that's where most of the Biden appointees would have been in any case.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.